Hello, everyone, and good evening. Ria and I are now going to welcome you to the opening ceremony of the Her Computing Coding Camp for 2020. We are thrilled and inspired to have all of you decide to join our week-long camp, especially since there are so many other activities you could be doing instead. So for the next 30 minutes, we're going to cover 3 topics. So first, Ria and I are going to share what Her Computing is, why we started it, and what we've done in the past year. We will then introduce our very special keynote speaker, who's going to share his computer science journey and advice for our students. And finally, we'll open up for a Q&A for our speaker, where you can submit live questions through the chat feature in Zoom. So what is Her Computing, and why did Ria and I decide to start it? So in 8th grade, I interviewed Mrs. Oyen Olabi, who is on the Milburn Schools Board of Education. While researching for the interview, I learned that the ratio of boys to girls in computing is 75 to 25, and that African Americans and Hispanics are significantly underrepresented. I also learned that many underrepresented communities lack access to resources, infrastructure, and mentoring, which are all things I take for granted. So we started Her Computing as a nonprofit organization in order to change that and make computing approachable to all. So since every industry in the world is becoming technology enabled, we must have diverse technologists at the table to build products and make decisions. So with Her Computing, we aim to take a step forward in that direction.
Over the past year and a half, we have hosted 4 major events. First, we conducted a technology workshop for senior citizens at Winchester Gardens to enable them to connect with friends and families through their devices and perform online tasks like banking and shopping. We also hosted a coding camp at Milburn High School for students learning web development and game development, ran an after-school coding club at the Valley Settlements House in West Orange, and rebuilt their computer lab. In the coming year, we are looking forward to growing our impact by doing more events, more partnerships, more fundraising, and more volunteers. Our upcoming 2-week coding camp is at full capacity, and we want to thank all parents for not only investing in their children's skills, but for their contribution, which is making computing approachable for those that have little access and few resources to learn it. On that note, all proceeds from this coding camp will go towards building or refurbishing computer labs, sponsoring teacher literacy in computer science, and funding after-school coding programs, all for schools and communities underrepresented in technology. If you are in grade 7 or higher and would like to volunteer, please sign up on our website, hercomputing.com. So, without further ado, I introduce our keynote speaker, Chinmay Tyagi. Chinmay is a rising senior at the University of California, Irvine, where he is majoring in computer science. As a high schooler, he worked in the Artificial Intelligence Lab at Stanford University, and his work was used in a paper accepted to the 2018 International Symposium on Experimental Robotics. As a Boy Scout for 7 years, he once tried to sell wreaths during Christmas to Mark Zuckerberg, who lives in his neighborhood at Palo Alto. This summer and fall, Chinmay is working as an intern in software engineering and data science at Intel, the largest semiconductor chip manufacturer. Growing up, both Tanish and I have looked up to Chinmay as a role model and guide, be it for scouting, or computer science, or just life. We are thrilled to have him join us today to share some words. Over to you, Chinmay.
Hey, Ria, thanks for introducing me, and Tanish as well. So all of you guys here, I guess over the next 2 weeks, you're going to be learning a lot, and you have 2 great teachers helping you out, and I'm really excited for you guys to just be learning stuff that you've never done before. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about, I guess, how I got here and my path, and maybe a couple pieces of advice, and then we'll open up to Q&A at the end. So I started my first computer science experience was in 9th grade. So all of you guys have a little bit of a head start on me, I guess. And it was an intro to Java class, which is a programming language. And, you know, at first, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. It wasn't like love at first sight. I wasn't super good at it. I think I ended up getting a B in the class, actually. So I wasn't even, you know, super great or anything. But I kept it in the back of my mind, you know, maybe if an opportunity came in the future, maybe I'd pursue it. And that's exactly what happened. So after my junior year of high school in 11th grade, I got this really awesome opportunity at Stanford to help a professor with his research. And I took that, and we were working in robotics, and I was writing some code to run some tests for the robot. And this experience was really cool for me. It opened my eyes because one, robots are pretty cool. I think everyone would be interested in working with them and seeing the results of your code. That was really exciting for me. You code something and you can actually see the results. And that really opened my eyes up and got me really excited. And so for college, I decided to apply as a computer science major. And once I was in college, I got into kind of the math side of it. And for anyone doing the machine learning class, you'll get into the math side as well these next few weeks. And I got into the more specifically math and video. So right now I'm, this past year, for example, I took some cool classes in computer vision and machine learning, and it helped me get this position that I'm at Intel right now, where I'm working on 3D video. So if any of you guys like playing video games, you'll see those cool cutscenes or crazy angles or slow-mos. I'm basically working on that for sports, for real life sports or concerts. So it's really cool. And, the opportunities, I would say there are just so many. And yeah, that's where I am now. So for you guys, what I would say, a recommendation, I guess, is, of course, you guys have passions right now that you're interested in that aren't related to school, or maybe they are. If no matter what they are, though, you can use computer science to make a difference in that area. So say you like playing video games, you could be a video game developer, or you love watching basketball or sports. You can use computer science to run sports analytics to make a model that predicts who's going to win the NBA title this year. Or if you're into art and design, you can make an iOS app or an iPhone app. The possibilities are just endless. Or even right now, COVID's affecting everyone in the world. And if you're interested in that, or science or biology, you can maybe make a model to predict how COVID's going to happen in the future, or how we can best protect against it. So there's just so much you can do with computer science. I told Tanish and Ria earlier, but I think computer science is like a universal language, if that makes any sense. And anyone in the world can connect and learn from it. And one last piece of advice I guess I'd have for you guys is everyone works at their own pace. So if you're getting discouraged in the first day, just like I was when I took that Java class, don't rush, don't sweat it. You'll figure it out, and keep an open mind and do all that. And I think you guys are gonna have a really fun couple of weeks and future in computer science.
Okay, so now we'll take any questions in the chat if you have any. So let's see here.
You guys can start, Tanish, maybe get the ball rolling with some questions. Okay, I got one here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Cool. What is one thing I wish I knew as a middle schooler? Well, one thing that I would do is try to seek help and mentorship from anyone you can. And, the obvious choice is your parents, because they're right there and they might know a lot. But it doesn't just have to be your parents. It could be an older sibling who can give you advice, not just in computer science or school, but just anything, because they have more experience than you. Could be an older sibling, an older friend, even, maybe a YouTube channel of a YouTuber you really respect, who gives good advice. The opportunities are there. So it's just a matter of listening to people.
Okay, so we've received some more questions. Why are the classes 3 hours? Previously, we were actually going to do a longer class, but we feel like online, sometimes it can be a little harder to concentrate. You're not exactly in the room. So we made the classes 3 hours so everyone can be engaged and have a lot of fun without having to stress or sit at the computer and irritate their eyes for 6 hours, Just to make everything fun and easy for everyone.
And another question we got was, are we doing JavaScript? So I'm assuming that that's going to be for the web development class. So I'm happy to inform you, yeah, we'll be doing JavaScript for the 4th and 5th days. We're doing mostly JavaScript for making cool grids or tracking the COVID-19 virus, using an API or keeping track of where the International Space Station is at. So don't worry, there'll be a ton of JavaScript over the next week for web development.
Okay, so that's kind of a bigger one. I'll try to answer it quickly. Why did you name the company Her Computing? So we named our nonprofit Her Computing because we noticed that there's a big gender gap in the fields of computing and math. And basically wanted to talk about, we wanted to express how females could get more, like our entire business or nonprofit idea was getting more females and, you know, Blacks and Hispanics into technology. Therefore we named it Her Computing, like girls computing.
Does that make any sense, or are people still confused?
Any other questions about that?
Let's see here.
Okay, I got
Yeah.
one here. Tanya asked me what kind of code I write at Intel. So the programming language that I'm using is mostly C++. It varies project to project. So my project right now is C++. Sometimes I use Python as well. And you know, the main thing isn't the language. It's more of the way you're thinking. You know, the language is like the medium to express your thoughts on this stuff. But yeah, the short answer is C++.
Let's see here. And then another question was, are we going to have breaks during the 3 hours? So every day in the middle of the class, we'll have a 5 to 10 minute bathroom break, or if you want to watch a video or just relax during that time. And towards the end of every session, like the last 15, 20 minutes, we'll have like a friendly review competition, which is pretty similar to Kahoot. It's called Gimkit, where everybody is in teams or individual, and they have to compete against each other and get the most questions correct to get the highest score. So don't worry, we'll have tons of breaks. It'll be interactive. And if you ever need to take a break, not in these times, you're always welcome to do so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And another question, these just keep popping up. Who are teaching the classes? Are there any other people than us two? And no, but we'll be working together. We really try to keep the classes small to make things interactive and engaging for everyone. So some classes, if they're larger, both of us will be in the class and we'll both be helping out and teaching.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see here. Another question was, for machine learning, are we doing Python? So the entire machine learning course is going to be taught in Python. So we'll start with a quick basics, quick review and like a basics and learning the basics of Python. Then we'll delve into some data science libraries and then the basic machine learning algorithms. And after that, we'll do TensorFlow and neural networks.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to add one thing. I'm cousins with Tanish and Ria. I forgot to say that earlier, and I think it's worth mentioning, just so you guys know. Yeah, I'll let you guys keep on going because you have a lot of questions to answer.
Yes.
Okay, so what is JavaScript? JavaScript is basically a language that you can use. You'll learn more about it in the web development class that you're taking. Basically a language you can use to manipulate the HTML elements. Those are basically the website elements you have on your page, and basically make them do interactive and cool things, like maybe flash or blink, or you know, when you click on a button, maybe make an image appear. That's what JavaScript's really used for.
Mm-hmm. And then another question was, are you going to tailor the class to accommodate younger kids? So we have, the classes are split somewhat based off of age groups. So we have a slightly modified curriculum to make sure we can tailor it to younger kids specifically in case the concepts are a little hard to understand. We have visual diagrams and fun interactive activities that we'll be doing during the class to make sure that everybody's keeping pace and understanding all of the material soundly. So, and if a student has any question during the actual session, instructors are always going to be there to make sure you understand the concepts.
Yeah, and just to take like two more, how many people are in a class? Well, generally we have like 5 to 6 people in a class, and if any of our classes, we have one class which has 9, and in that class, both of us, both me and Tanish, will be helping out. Basically, we keep, you know, a pretty small student to teacher ratio. And are we in different classes? So like, yeah, our classes, like this entire group is going to be split into 3 classes the first week and 3 or 4 the second week. Yeah, that answers those 2.
And then let's see here. So to code, what website are we going to be using? So all of the code, so I'm assuming this is relating to the web development class. So we'll be using a site called REPL.it. So you can create an account on there early. And then if you want to play around, look at So that's basically the site we're going to be using to write all of our code for
Actually,
the web
I think Noah's in game development. I just added him to a class today. So for that, we're just using Scratch, the Scratch platform. I've made, like, everyone in game development, I've made username and passwords for you. So tomorrow in our session or next week, you guys can sign in, and I'll give you, like, all of your passwords and everything. So nothing to worry about there.
So another question was, so for 1 to 2 classes, I might miss about 45 minutes. So basically you're asking, what is this? How are you going to make sure you're all caught up on the material? So basically, if you're ever missing any of the material, it was great that you let us know in advance. So we might do a private session with you to make sure that you understood all the material and catch you up. So pretty much that's probably to be the most likely way for us to catch you up if you have to miss it. So thank you for telling us.
Yeah, Anbi is in game development, so I'll just be catching her up on that if there's any struggles. Yeah. Okay.
And then,
Is there going to be a visitor every time? Oh no, this is just for our introduction session. Maybe, like, I don't know, would mom pop it? Maybe not. Okay. It'd just be, yeah, normally it's just us two or one of us and a few kids.
but if you do really like the sessions, like a lot, or this session in particular, we could definitely try to get another visitor, but that's all up to you.
Yeah, we can host a closing session with a visitor.
Yes. And Chinmay, you're getting another question. So do you have any role models or mentors that inspired you in your computer science journey?
Yeah, so yeah, like I said before, I think that's really important. And you know, I talked about some places you can get mentors from. For me personally, both of my parents are in tech themselves. So growing up, I feel like I always saw the impact of one, what it's like to be in the field, and two, kind of the possibilities that I have. And I feel like that really helped me. You know, I was pretty lucky to be in that position. Besides that, you know, like I said, that research I did at Stanford was really eye-opening, and I worked with a PhD student really closely during that summer. And that was, I would say he's a huge mentor to me. Even now, like maybe 5 years later, I'm still in touch with him semi-regularly. And he was someone, you know, a few years older than me, not too much older than me, like my parents are. So it was easier to relate to him. And I feel like he gave me great advice. And yeah, that was something that really helped me.
Okay.
Yeah. So one more was, what code are we doing for game design? We'll be using Scratch, which is a block coding platform. It's really going to, in game design, we're going to be learning a lot of concepts and, yeah, block coding. Let's see, anything else?
Let's see here. Any other questions? So you guys have been asking a lot of questions, which is really good. So thank you for that. If you have any other ones, feel free to type them in right now.
Yeah, you're a lot less quiet than the adults.
Yeah.
They always like,
The info sessions, you got like 3 questions max. Let's see.
Yeah, and any questions for me, obviously, you guys can ask as well.
Let's see here. So, any other question? So there's a question. It says, for game design, will we make one whole game or 1 week or ... So I'm assuming so Ria, you're teaching the game development. So what's essentially the layout of all the classes? So how many games? What's all that, the time
So
stuff?
we'll be making a few games. There's like, I've split some content to like beginner and more advanced content. So generally we'll be making like 5 to 8 games in each class, and you'll have time to make your own games and add your own custom designs to the games. And yeah, so it's not just going to be one. You'll have a few, and they'll be like in your inventory, so you can go back and review them or play them or just have fun with them. And the question in game design will we be doing like actual coding, like not block coding, so on CodePen or something? And no, we will just be using Scratch. But if you guys like do want to do like, you know, coding that is not block coding, I could always like talk to you after our session is over and figure out how to get you started on that.
And it's not a bad thing that it's block coding, but so the Scratch class is going to have a lot of game development concepts and logic. So it's a bunch of important stuff. So the Scratch platform is just really good for creating really simple games with a lot of sprites and stuff. So that's all I just wanted to add.
Yeah, it just clarifies all concepts before you go into like the game development side of like writing
So
code.
a question was, do I have homework? So for the classes, we'll give like optional questions or any optional coding questions, optional review that you can do if you're interested in that particular subject. But it's not gonna be like a school where you have homework for this class or something like that. We don't want to burden you. It's the summer, everybody's relaxing, so it's being like optional. If you're interested in it, you can do it. If you don't want to do it, it's other stuff to do. That's completely fine as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, another one, Ria and Tanisha, did you have any role models? I'll talk about myself first. So I didn't really look up to like any older kids, but my parents especially. I know my dad, he's like an absolute coding genius. I don't even know what he does, but he's just very good at lots of coding. So I've really looked up to him. I've always, asked him questions, and if I've ever had any struggles and Google wasn't able to help me, I just, talk to him and he'd help me out. You, Tanish?
I'll say so. This past year, I was part of the Milburn High School robotics team, and the oldest kid on my team, he was a senior. He was very good at coding. He knew all this stuff well. He had a very good understanding of math. So I really did look up to him as a role model to teach me to get accustomed to all this robotics coding and the math. And he really helped me a lot on things that just aren't robotics. And I really felt like I was able to relate with him on another level. So he definitely did help accelerate my coding journey for sure.
Anything else?
So
are you going to help us when we create our accounts? So for the game development, I've already created accounts for all of you. I'll help you guys sign in though when class comes.
Let's see. So we got a couple minutes left. So thanks for asking so many questions. Let's see here. So if any other ones, so did you guys make any books? Do you mean like published any books, or for like related to coding, or like just like this like paperback books? I haven't published any books, but Ria's published a book before. So Ria, you want to talk about that?
I don't know. We haven't really. I've published a book not really on coding. It was on science, quantum science. And it's just one of my other passions outside of coding, and I really liked it. It had a whole bunch of theories on it, so I published the book privately on Amazon.
So will there be a site where you can practice coding? So for the practicing coding, it's going to be on the exact same site that you're all going to be using in the class. So you can just log on. Let's say it's Scratch, for example, you could just log into the Scratch platform, and then you'll be able, if you want to try experiment there, you can just do some practice there. So we don't want to give like a whole nother platform, so that'd be a little confusing. So you would basically using the exact same sites and resources that you'd be using in the class. So a question was, are we going to be using REPL for machine learning? So machine learning is much higher, it's need more computer processes. So we'll actually be using a local text editor called Sublime Text for machine learning. So when I send out course details for machine learning, I'll basically give more details then, but it won't be REPL because REPL doesn't support that kind of heavy processing. And then another question was, will you be sharing resources on which we can learn more coding after classes? So for sure. So the main goal of our camp is really to get more people excited about coding and to really help them continue their coding journey even after the camp ends. So for each class, we will be giving a good set of resources where like online links where you can go and get a little more exposure to web development or any other fields that you're interested in. So we want to make sure that you're all still interested and you're still doing more coding even after the camp ends. We don't want it to be like a one-time thing.
Definitely.
So any other last minute questions? We got about 1 minute left.
Okay, yeah, so assuming there's nothing left, we just want to thank Chinmay, our students and parents who joined us for joining us today. Everyone have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to learning and having fun with you all in the coming 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
Bye.
stay safe, everyone. We look forward to seeing people who sign up for the first week of classes tomorrow. We're really excited. So, and the second week, we'll be seeing you in 1 week. We're really excited for that as well. So we'll see you all. We'll see some of you tomorrow, some of you next week. So bye. Have a nice evening, or like play fun, have video games, do whatever you want. Chill out. It's the summer. Relax. So goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Chinmay. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Anvi.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, see you.
Bye,
Bye.
all. Thank you.
Aditi.
One more.